All right, get ready because we're about to take a deep dive into the future of social media. Specifically, what's headed our way in 2025.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride. And anyone who wants to not just survive, but really thrive in this new landscape, well, they got to understand these big changes that are happening right now.
So less doom scrolling, more future proofing. Got it. What's the first thing our listeners need to know?
Okay, so that old post anything and everything approach, yeah, that's out. Algorithms are now favoring consistency, like sticking to a specific topic, almost like those specialized TV channels.
So instead of being a jack of all trades on social media, I need to think more like a network with my own specific shows.
Exactly. Let's say you're a plumber. Now, instead of just posting random pictures of your work, you become, let's say, the Leaky Faucet Fixer channel. Quick tips, behind the scenes looks, maybe even reviews of the local hardware stores you work with. You become the go-to source for that niche.
Okay, that makes sense, but wouldn't that limit my reach? I mean, fewer topics, fewer people interested in that.
Not necessarily. This is where the interest graph comes in. Algorithms are getting so good at matching content to what people actually want to see, even if they don't follow you yet.
Hold on, explain that like I'm five.
Mhm.
How does this interest graph thing actually work?
Okay, imagine a giant web that connects people based on, well, everything they do online. Articles they read, videos they watch, even products they search for. The algorithm, it learns all this and says, hey, this person loves DIY plumbing. Let's show them content from the Leaky Faucet Fixer, even if they haven't followed them yet.
Wow. So even with a smaller, more focused audience, the right people are still going to find me. That's kind of amazing and a little creepy at the same time.
Well, that's the future of social media, and it leads to a really powerful strategy that you can start using right now. It's called creative validation.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Tell me more.
All right, are you worried about wasting money on ads?
Always.
Okay, well, no problem. You post organically first, just like you normally would, and if it hits, let's say, 2,000 views, even if you usually only get like 7, well, you've struck gold. The algorithm is telling you that this is the content that works.
So it's like the platform is doing free market research for me. I'm already liking this.
Exactly. Now you take that same video, you refine it a little and make it more of a sales message, and then you run it as an ad. It's pre-validated, meaning less risk, and you'll probably boost your return like dramatically.
That's a game changer. It flips the script on how we think about making content and advertising.
It really does. And it all ties into another major shift that's happening. The power is moving away from those big influencers to those with smaller, more dedicated communities.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this. Are brands finally realizing that bigger isn't always better?
They are micro-influencers with maybe, I don't know, 2,000 to 25,000 followers. They just offer better engagement and a more genuine connection. Their audience trusts them.
That's great news for anyone who doesn't have, millions of followers. Does this mean that I have a shot at becoming a micro-influencer myself?
Absolutely. This is your chance to shine. You pick your niche, build a dedicated community around it, and become the trusted voice in that space. It's almost like creating this, micro community where your knowledge is valued and it's free from all that noise of the public feeds.
That's a really appealing idea. Creating a space where people can connect with, real expertise. That just feels much more impactful than chasing millions of
It
followers.
is. And it brings us to a point that, well, might seem old-fashioned in this digital age. It's called the thank you economy.
Hold on. How does saying thank you become an entire economy?
It's like this. In a world that's obsessed with automation, doing everything online, a personal touch can be your superpower. Call your past clients, send a handwritten note, even just a quick email. Just express genuine gratitude.
I gotta admit, I haven't sent a handwritten note in ages. But I see your point. It's about building real relationships, not just transactions.
Exactly. This is old school relationship building that no algorithm can replicate. Remember that story about like a small order that turned into a huge referral just because of a simple thank you?
Oh yeah, that's amazing. It's crazy how a simple gesture can make such a difference.
That's the magic of the thank you economy. It builds loyalty and word of mouth that you can't buy with any advertising.
Okay, so we've got this focused content, we've got the interest graph working in our favor, and now we've got this renewed focus on genuine human connection. What else should we be thinking about for social media in 2025?
Okay, I'll give you 2 words. Long form content.
Wait, really? I thought short, snappy videos were the future.
Oh, they still are. But don't underestimate the power of those deeper dives. A lot of platforms are pushing long-form content in different ways. Think, detailed guides, in-depth tutorials, even mini documentaries.
So it's not just about those attention-grabbing snippets anymore.
It's about quality over quantity. If you can create comprehensive content that provides real value, people will engage with it, even if it's longer.
Wow, this is making me rethink my whole content strategy. I'm going to need a bigger whiteboard.
You and everyone else. But speaking of changing the game entirely, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, which is artificial intelligence.
Yeah, AI is everywhere these days. How is it going to impact social media, specifically in 2025?
AI is going to be like this invisible hand that shapes everything. From content creation to those personalized experiences we were talking about earlier, it's going to make things faster, more efficient, way more targeted.
That sounds both exciting and a little scary. Is AI going to take over all the jobs?
It's definitely going to change them. But here's the key. In a world that's increasingly shaped by AI, your unique human voice becomes even more important.
So even with all this technology, the human element is still key.
Absolutely. AI can write a technically perfect post, but it can't replicate your personality, your humor, those real experiences. Embrace those, and you'll stand out from the crowd.
Okay, that gives me a lot to think about. So in 2025, we need to be really strategic about our content. We need to embrace that thank you economy, dive into long-form content, and use AI to our advantage, all while staying authentically human.
You got it. And there's one more piece to this puzzle that we need to explore, how the platforms themselves are evolving.
Ooh, I'm on the edge of my seat. This is getting good. Tell me more.
Okay, so we've talked about focusing your content, using that interest graph, and even using AI to your advantage. But, the platforms themselves, they're undergoing this massive shift that's going to completely change how we connect with our audience.
All right, spill the tea. What's going on?
So platforms are moving away from that, traditional follow model, and they're moving towards a system that prioritizes interests over connections.
So it's less about who I follow and more about like what I'm actually engaging with.
Exactly. Platforms are getting ridiculously sophisticated at tracking, well, everything you like, what you comment on, even what you share. And they're using all this data to create this like hyper-personalized content experience for each user.
That makes sense. I mean, my video recommendations, they seem to know exactly what I want to watch next, even if I've never searched for it before.
That's a great example. It's the same principle at work. They're basically using your engagement data to create this feed that's tailored to your super specific interests.
That's both fascinating and a little bit unsettling. It's like they're reading my mind.
It's true. The level of personalization is incredible. And for content creators, this is both a challenge and an opportunity.
Okay, I see the challenge. How do we make sure that our content is getting seen by, the right people when the algorithm is controlling so much?
That's where really understanding your audience becomes even more important. It's not enough to just create great content anymore. You have to create great content that's specifically targeted to the interests of your ideal audience.
So I need to go beyond just basic demographics and really dig into their interests, their values, even their motivations.
Exactly. You need to understand what makes them tick. What are their pain points? What problems are they facing? And what kind of content are they craving? This requires, real research, some analysis, and a willingness to truly listen to your audience.
That sounds like a lot of work, but I can see how it would pay off in the long run.
It absolutely will. The more you understand your audience, the better equipped you'll be to create content that actually resonates with them and gets picked up by those, powerful algorithms.
Okay, this is making me rethink my entire content strategy. It's not just about creating what I think is cool anymore. It's about really understanding what my audience actually wants.
That's a fantastic takeaway. And it ties into another really crucial aspect of social media in 2025, this rise of authenticity and transparency.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about authenticity lately. What does that actually mean in the context of social media?
It's about being real, being relatable, just being genuine. People are tired of this perfectly curated, filtered version of reality that we often see on social media. They crave connection with real people who are willing to show their true selves.
So it's about letting go of the pressure to be perfect and just being myself.
Exactly. Embrace those quirks, those imperfections, that unique personality that you have. People can spot inauthenticity a mile away. When you're genuine, you create this space for real connection and you build trust with your audience.
That makes sense. People connect with people, not with these flawless facades.
Exactly. And transparency plays a big role in this as well.
Okay, transparency. What does that look like in practice?
It's about being open about your processes, even about your struggles, maybe even your failures.
Wait, you're suggesting I share my failures online? Isn't that a little counterintuitive?
Not at all. Sharing your failures can actually make you more relatable and trustworthy.
I'm not sure I'm ready to air all my dirty laundry online. How does sharing my failures actually help?
When you're willing to be open about your mistakes, it shows that you're human, that you're not afraid to be vulnerable. It also creates these opportunities for learning and growth for you and your audience.
I see your point. It's about turning these setbacks into opportunities for connection and learning.
Exactly. And it can be really powerful for building trust and authenticity. But of course, there's always a balance to strike.
Oh, good. I was just thinking that. Do I have to share everything?
Absolutely not. You don't have to share everything with everyone. There's a big difference between being authentic and just oversharing. Be mindful of what you're sharing and with whom.
Okay, so how do we find that sweet spot between, being authentic and protecting our privacy?
It's a delicate dance. You got to consider your audience, your goals, and your own comfort levels. What feels authentic and appropriate for one person might be way too revealing for someone else.
So there's no one-size-fits-all approach here.
Exactly. It's about finding what works for you and your brand, what feels right while respecting your own boundaries.
Okay, that's a relief. I'm starting to see how authenticity and transparency, they can be really powerful tools if we use them thoughtfully.
Absolutely. And these ideas, they tie into another trend that's really reshaping the social media landscape, this whole rise of these niche communities.
Niche communities,
Yep.
yeah, we touched on that earlier with that whole leaky faucet fixer idea. Tell me more about how that's, playing out.
For years, the goal was always to reach as many people as possible with this, a broad message, cast a wide net and hope for the best.
Right. But something tells me that approach isn't working so well anymore.
You're exactly right. With so much content out there, all vying for attention, it's harder than ever to stand out with just a generic message. That's why niche communities are becoming so powerful. They provide the space for people with shared interests to connect, engage, and, find content that's tailored to their specific needs.
I'm part of a few online groups that are dedicated to some of my hobbies, and it's amazing to connect with people who, actually share my passions. We geek out over these little details that would bore anyone else.
That's a perfect example. Those niche communities, that's where real engagement and loyalty is being fostered.
So for brands, this means forgetting about the mass market and instead focusing on building these genuine connections within, smaller, more focused communities.
Exactly. It's quality over quantity. By nurturing relationships within these niche communities, brands can cultivate a loyal following that's way more valuable than a million passive scrollers, just scrolling through their feed.
This is really making me rethink my whole approach to social media. It's not just about broadcasting my message to the masses anymore. It's about finding the right people and engaging with them on a deeper level.
You hit the nail on the head, and for individual content creators, this rise of these niche communities is an amazing opportunity to build a truly devoted audience.
That sounds pretty good to anyone who's ever felt, lost in this vastness of social media.
Exactly. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, you can focus on becoming the go-to resource for a specific audience.
So I should find my niche and own it.
Exactly. You're not just a photographer, you're the expert in, breathtaking wildlife shots. You're not just a chef, you're the master of, delicious, healthy desserts.
I love that. It's about finding your area of expertise and becoming that valuable resource for a specific community.
Exactly. And when you do that, you attract an audience that's genuinely interested in what you offer. They're actively seeking out your expertise, your insights, all of that.
That's so empowering. Instead of shouting into the void, I can focus on building something meaningful with people who actually care about what I have to say.
That's the beauty of niche communities, but remember, understanding your audience is crucial here. It's not just about demographics anymore, it's about psychographics, those values, their beliefs, their motivations.
Okay, this is a lot to process. So to thrive in 2025, we need to be authentic, embrace transparency, within reason, and find our tribe. Did I miss anything?
You got the major points, but there are a few practical everyday things we can do to really level up our social media game right now.
Okay, hit me with those actionable tips. I'm ready to take notes. All All right, we've covered so much about the future of social media, from algorithms to authenticity. Feels like a whole new world out there.
It really is. But even with all these exciting, sometimes kind of overwhelming changes, there are some simple things that we can start doing right now, today, to set ourselves up for success in 2025 and beyond.
Okay, I love actionable advice. What are those like golden nuggets of wisdom?
First and foremost, remember consistency is key. This doesn't mean posting randomly or like disappearing for weeks on end. It's about showing up regularly, providing value to your audience, and just, engaging in a genuine way.
So it's quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
It's better to have one amazing post a week than 10 mediocre ones every day.
Exactly. Create a consistent experience, something that builds trust and loyalty. Don't overwhelm your audience with a bunch of noise. Just focus on delivering that meaningful content that really resonates.
That makes sense. I'm totally guilty of like getting caught up in that pressure to post constantly, even when I don't really have anything valuable to share.
It's a common trap. But remember, your audience can sense when you're, just phoning it in. They're looking for authenticity and substance.
Okay, consistency is definitely going on my to-do list.
Yeah.
What else can we do to really level up our social media game?
Focus on building those relationships. Remember, social media is all about connection, right? So engage with your audience. Respond to those comments. Participate in relevant conversations. Be present and interactive, not just like a broadcaster.
So it's not just about pushing out my message. It's about building that genuine two-way communication.
Exactly. The more you engage with your audience, the stronger those relationships become. And those connections, they drive loyalty, they lead to word-of-mouth marketing, and ultimately, that's what leads to real, genuine success.
Yeah, that makes me think of like some of those accounts that I love following. It's not just about their content. It's their personality and how they interact with people. It feels like a community.
You hit the nail on the head. Fostering that sense of community is really key in this, ever-evolving world of social media.
Okay, consistency and relationship building are top of mind. Any other like must-do tips?
Don't be afraid to experiment and adapt. You got to remember, the social media landscape is changing constantly. What worked yesterday might not work today. So stay curious, try new things, analyze the results and adjust your approach accordingly.
So flexibility is key.
Yeah.
I need to be willing to like let go of what's not working and embrace those new ideas.
Exactly. The most successful players in social media are those who constantly learn, they experiment, and they evolve. Think of it as like an ongoing adventure, not this rigid set of rules that you have to follow.
Okay, that takes some of the pressure off, so it's okay to make mistakes and adjust as I go.
Absolutely. And here's a practical tip that's especially relevant, in today's mobile-first world. Optimize your content for mobile viewing.
Yeah, I've definitely clicked away from videos where the text was like way too small to read on my phone.
It happens to all of us, but it's totally avoidable. Make sure your videos are formatted correctly, use clear and concise text, and keep those graphics simple but eye-catching.
So it's all about making it super easy for people to consume my content, like on the go.
Precisely. Make it effortless to watch, read, and engage, and people will stick around. In a world of distractions, that user experience is king.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I have a whole new toolbox for like tackling my social media strategy.
That's fantastic to hear. But there's one more crucial element that a lot of people overlook: measuring your results.
Data analysis. That's the part I always tend to avoid, but I know it's important. Why shouldn't I just bury my head in the sand?
Because if you're not measuring your results, you're essentially like flying blind. You need to know what's working, what's not, and how you can, improve your strategy over time.
Okay, no more hiding from the numbers. But what should I be measuring specifically?
It depends on your goals. But some common metrics include reach, engagement, website traffic, and of course, conversions.
Okay, so reach tells me how many people are seeing my content. Engagement measures how they're interacting with it. Website traffic shows how many people are clicking through to my site. And conversions track if they're taking those like desired actions like buying something or signing up for something.
Exactly. Tracking these metrics gives you a really clear picture of how you're performing, which helps you make those like data-driven decisions to improve.
Okay, this is starting to make sense. I'm a visual person, so seeing those numbers, it'll really help me understand what's resonating with my audience.
Data is a super powerful tool, and honestly, it's easier than ever to track all these metrics with the many, analytics tools that are out there.
No more excuses then. Data analysis, here I come. This whole deep dive has been incredible. I'm feeling so much more informed and dare I say, excited about the future of social media.
That's fantastic to hear. Social media is always going to be evolving, but the fundamentals, those stay the same. Connect with people, be authentic, provide value, and adapt to change.
Those are words to live by. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your insights. This has been a truly eye-opening journey.
It's been my pleasure to, explore the future of social media with you. Now go forth and conquer those algorithms.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us as we uncovered those trends that are shaping social media in 2025. Till next time, stay curious.